good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when and where you're watching this from. Thank you for clicking on this video. This video is going to be a bit different, seeing as I unfortunately am not in this one. It's going to be my travel companion, Jane. She's going to be going solo through the Czech Republic, solo through Prague, experiencing the sights and the sounds, seeing the city, meeting all the different locals, all the different people. Be sure to show your support, like the video, she worked hard on it. And yeah, without further ado, sit back and enjoy the video. And as always, stay worried out there.
Hi! So if you haven't guessed by now, I'm in Prague, and it's been quite an adventure getting here and exploring the city on my first day. We flew out of, we meaning me. I flew out of Miami on March 1st, and the flight was delayed about 15-20 minutes, and then I got to Lisbon, which is where my connecting flight was, in Portugal, and we were about 30 minutes behind, and I only had about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half of a layover to get to the plane that was bringing me to Prague. And I get there, and the flight's delayed. I get there, I have to go through immigration in Portugal, and when I get to the line for them to check my passport, it's huge and slow, and I'm 30 minutes late, and my flight to Prague is already boarding. I immediately start to internally panic, and a little outwardly panic too, but like mostly inside I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna miss my flight. This is gonna be a nightmare. Oh my god, oh my god. And I'm getting frustrated, and the line's not moving, and I'm looking at the screen where the flights, you know, statuses are the flight statuses are all like on a big screen, and I see that my flight is boarding. And then I see it's like on final call, and I'm like, oh my god. And the line is like inching forward, and finally I get to the immigration officer, and he checks my passport, and I haul ass, forgive my French, but I just start running, and I'm not a runner. Running through that airport, and I didn't even know my gate, and so I realized that, and I stopped and asked somebody the gate for the flight leaving out of going to Prague, and the airport attendant tells me the gate I need to go to, and I'm just running, and it's all the way on the other side of the airport, and I'm running, and I'm running, and I'm running, and I'm running, and my feet are hurting, and my knees are hurting, and I'm running, and I get there like just in the nick of time. I don't know if anyone out there is familiar with the airport in Portugal, but I guess on some terminals, depending on where your flight is leaving out of or what's going on, they have like planes out in the tarmac, like away from an actual terminal. And so when they check you in your boarding pass, you don't go directly on the plane. You go into like a shuttle, and the shuttle takes you out to your plane that's like out, as we say in Spanish, al aire libre. You don't go through like a gateway to get to your plane. The bus drops you off, and then you go up the stairs to board the plane. So I get there, and thankfully, I guess because it was a connecting flight, and there was probably other people from the Lisbon flight that were also delayed. I think they waited a little bit, like they understood that that people were running behind because of the issue with the delayed flights coming from elsewhere. So, and that's just like par for the course these days. It seems like everywhere you go, every airline, just lately, there's always delays. So I ran over there, and I made it in the nick of time, and I'm one of the last people to board the shuttle to take me to the plane. And I'm like, I get there, and I'm sweating bullets, and I'm frustrated and flustered and out of breath, and everything hurts. And but I made it. And as soon as I made it, I was like, thank God, because the idea of like missing my flight and then having to fight with the airline, because they were the ones who were late, not me, having to fight with the airline to get me the next flight out to Prague so that I don't get my trip ruined. And I was like, I'm gonna have to, you know, fight with and I'm a non-confrontational person. So the thought of like, I'm gonna have to get on there and yell at these people to get them to move and to fix this for me was like, more than anything, that was like, I was dreading it. I was like, I already know that my flight's gonna be canceled, or my flight's gonna leave without me, and I'm gonna have to fight with the attendant and fight with somebody in customer service and get them to book me a flight and or reimburse me my money, and it's gonna be a pain, and I was like rehearsing already what I was gonna say to them, and the way I was gonna confront, I guess, them about it, you know, like take a lesson from like my dad, who is like very, you know, he doesn't let anybody, you know, step on him. And so he gets, when he needs to, he gets confrontational. And I was like, think like your dad. I was like, do what needs to get done so that you can get this fixed. So, but thankfully none of that happened. So I finally make it to the plane, and then after everybody's boarded, there's an issue with the Lisbon air traffic control people giving us permission to leave. So that flight was delayed anyway. And then I finally make it. I had booked a shuttle to bring me to my hotel. So, and I didn't record it, and I wish I had, but I walked to the arrivals and there was a guy holding a sign with my name on it. And I just, because there's like several ways to get to Prague city center from the airport, because it's about a 40-minute drive. But like, when I read that you had to take a bus, and then from the bus you had to take a train to get to the city center, and then when you get to the city center you're gonna have to take a taxi or walk or the subway to get to your wherever your hotel is from the train station, I was like, I don't want to go through all that. I don't want to, you know, I like trying to meet a Uber somewhere or like arrange an Uber. I was like, I don't know how that's going to work in an airport. I've never booked an Uber to an airport. So I was like, I'm just going to find somebody who's like waiting for me when I get there. And the taxis I hear, also there's a lot of scammers with the taxis in Prague. So I was like afraid to take a taxi. So I booked a shuttle service to bring me to my hotel. And best money I ever spent, because the guy was waiting for me with a sign with my name on it, offered me water bottle, you know, took my luggage, put it in the car, and drove me straight to my hotel. I didn't have to, you know, they weren't dropping anybody else off, so it was just me. So I get to my hotel. I'm early, so I had to leave my luggage in the hotel in like storage, and then go explore the city. And let me tell you, the city is beautiful and very walkable. Like, you can go, everything is within walking distance, but everything is walking. Like, even if you want to take a taxi or an Uber, it doesn't seem conducive to that. Like, there's a lot of streets that are filled with people. And so like trying to navigate a car through these streets that are flooded with people, you have like, it's better for you honestly to just walk to wherever you need to go than get in a taxi or an Uber and have to, you know, wait for people crossing the streets and, you know, hordes of people walking here and there, especially since you're going to all the touristy places. You know, you want to see like the main attractions of this city, and those areas are filled with people. And so getting, you know, cars to there and through there. And so I was like, I'm just going to walk everywhere. And And it's good exercise, and I still plan to do that. But boy, let me tell you, these cobblestone streets, my goodness, they are no joke. So, all of the streets here are, and even the sidewalks are like, the sidewalks are not exactly cobblestone, but they're like mosaic tile, paved tile, and they're like very uneven. So they're not the most comfortable to walk on. And then there's the cobblestone parts, which are definitely not comfortable to walk on. I found a trick. So like part of the, there's like a certain path in the cobblestone street areas where it's like a flat surface. It's just like a little like 12-inch, you know, foot long narrow path that runs along some of these cobblestone streets, and I just walk on there instead of walking on the cobblestone. I have another pair of sneakers that I'm gonna try tomorrow, see if those maybe are a little bit better for walking on the cobblestone, but they're like, it's pretty bad. But other than that, the city is great. The city is beautiful. It's clean. At night, it's early right now. It's like 8 something. And all day I hadn't seen any transients, any homeless. You know, everybody was like shopping and sightseeing, and it's very clean. It's very safe. You know, I feel very safe. But after the sun sets, you get like, I saw maybe on my walk back to my hotel after the sunset, after the tour I did of the Klementinum library and astronomical tower, it was dark. So on my way back to my hotel, I came across maybe 3 homeless people on the street, on the floor. And it's very weird because they were all like scattered. They weren't, you know, one right next to the other. It was like I saw one, and then I walked a little bit longer and I saw another one, and I walked a little bit longer and I saw another one, and they were like praying on the floor. They, all 3 of them, in the same position. They were like on the ground, bent over. Like it almost looked like when Muslims kneel down and like kneel over to pray. They were like in that position. And I don't know if it was a Muslim thing, I'm not saying that, but just the position was reminiscent of that. So they were on the ground. They were like kneeling forward on the ground with their hands in front of them, with like a cup out in front of their hands for you to put money in. It's very sad. It's very weird to see that. It's like, it was kind of bizarre. And like I said, I did see about 3 of them, I think. But they weren't bothering anybody. They weren't shouting at people, or they literally were like, they looked like they were praying on the street, with cups in front of them. I didn't give them money. But that was probably the only thing, that I saw that was like a little sketchy. But the streets were crowded with tourists and shoppers and nightlife people out to the restaurants and bars and stuff that are around here. So, you know, I felt safe. I didn't feel like, you know, it was like a sketchy area, like you shouldn't walk around at night. Literally everybody's walking around. And there's police like everywhere. So like, even if there is somebody that's like up to no good, or would otherwise be up to no good, like literally the police are like right there. So who's gonna do anything stupid in front of the police? So, yeah. So that was my first day. So I checked into my hotel, or I didn't check in, I dropped off my luggage. I went to the little, I forgot what it's called, like the little town hall area, or like town square, where they have the astronomical clock and the church and the famous statue that I can't remember now. It's like the place that everybody thinks of when they think of Prague. I went there first, and it was a little bit crowded, but it wasn't too bad. I was able to get like right in front of the astronomical clock and take pictures, and there wasn't, you know, that many people blocking it or anything like that. So I went there, and then I had a late lunch at a restaurant that I don't remember the name of. I'll put it down somewhere later. I had goulash, like a beef goulash with these little bread dumplings, and it was delicious. It tasted like pot roast in like a thick gravy. Then I had a Pilsner to celebrate my arrival in Prague at that same restaurant. My bill came out to 563 Czech korunas, which, I mean, it was like $24. So that was $24 for a sparkling water that I ordered, a bottle of sparkling water, for the beef goulash, and a Pilsner, a pint of Pilsner. And that was $24, not including tip. I tipped in cash because I took out $100 in cash, and it's a lot. So, I have to get rid of it. So I tipped the waiter in cash. So, and when I say $100, I took out $100. So I'm here today and tomorrow, and then I go to Vienna. So I took out $200, and the idea was between buying souvenirs, if I want to buy souvenirs. Some places don't accept card, they only take cash. Especially little like street carts and stuff like that. Tipping, I wanted to tip in cash. So I took out like $200 for the days that I'm going to be in Prague. And it's a lot of money. A lot of their money. And our money, but still, like, they're, you know, it's like for every US dollar, it's like 24 almost dollars in their currency. So money goes a long way here. And so I tipped him 300 Czech korunas. 3 or 4, I don't remember. I think it was 4. Let's just say it was 4. And so so I had lunch there. It was great. I will probably go back if I get the chance and try another dish, like a Czech dish, because it was a Czech restaurant, like Czech cuisine. So from there I came to the hotel, and by that time they let me check in. So I came and brought my suitcase upstairs. I laid down for about an hour, and then I had booked a tour of the Klementinum library, like the complex, the Klementinum that has the library and the astronomical tower. So that was at 5 p.m. So I went over there, and the library is absolutely gorgeous. Pictures do not do it justice. You can only see it from, like, they open a door, and then there's like a little gate right behind the door, and they let you view, you can see the whole library from that angle. But you can't walk into the library and explore the library because they have really old books in there that they have to preserve, and so they don't want you to be walking around and touching stuff and you know, flashing photography, or just the pollution of people, crowds of people in that space. So they only let you view it from that angle behind that gate, and you can't even, like, if you hop over, alarms blare and you're gonna be found out. So I got to see the library. Gorgeous. You're in a group of people and everybody needs to get their turn to see it, so you only have like a couple minutes to take it in, take your pictures, take your video, whatever, and then you know, you got to move and let somebody else get in there and see it. So but it was gorgeous, it was beautiful. And you know, we had a tour guide who explains stuff about Klementinum and how it was a complex that was created for Jesuits back in a long time ago. The Jesuit order or whatever, they wanted that space built for them. The Catholics, you know, the Jesuits that were Catholic. So it was like a Catholic mainstay there in Prague, and a lot of the books there are science books, theology books, but they also had like a section of prohibited books, which were like books about other religions, Protestant and stuff like that, that were prohibited, and so they were kept in like a prohibited section, and only certain people were allowed to access that section. And like books containing like erotica and stuff like that, it's run by like librarians, and you can still go in there if you're somebody that's like studying something. You can go in there and check out a book, and they put it in like a special room for you to read it and review it and stuff like that. And but you have to have permission, and it's like a whole thing. So that was the library. Then we went up to the astronomical tower, and that was really cool because they had a room up in the tower, in the middle of the tower, where they set up, it was like a camera obscura type situation, where it was like a dark room, and then they had like a pinhole light that would come in, and it would meet, when it would meet with a string on the ground, that meant it was 12 noon and it was lunchtime. And so that's how people knew it was time to go to lunch. They had a guy who would check and see when it was time, when it was noon, when the light met the string on the floor, and then he would wave a flag announcing that it was lunchtime, and that's how people knew. And then that went on for a long time until the radio was invented, and then people would discover lunchtime because of the radio, which didn't make sense when she said that, because I'm like, didn't we have clocks by then? So why would you need the radio to tell you it's lunchtime? But that's what she said. So I don't know, maybe they didn't have clocks in Prague except the astronomical clock. So I don't know, something was sketchy there. But anyway, so then after we explored that room, we went up to the top of the astronomical tower and saw the observatory, like the observation deck, and you get like 360 views of the city of Prague. You can walk around the whole outside of the astronomical tower, and you can see above the city. Gorgeous, beautiful, loved it. And that was it. That was the main tour that I did today. And then I came back. On my way back, I stopped and got Starbucks because you know, obligatory. And then, excuse me. And then they have a treat called, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Tradelnik, I don't know how it's pronounced. But it's like a dough that is fried on the outside, and then coated in cinnamon sugar, and it's delicious. Not something I'll probably be eating every day here, but I wanted to try it because everybody talks about it. So I got to try that. Didn't really have dinner because I had that late lunch, and then I had that treat on the way back to the hotel, and I was tired and ready for bed, and I'm about to go to bed. But I did stop and get that treat. And then tomorrow I have a tour planned, a day trip to Český Krumlov, and Český Budočeví. I don't know how to pronounce any of these places, but one of them, there's like a famous castle there, and then the other town there, that's apparently where the origin of Budweiser, that's where it hails from. So that's the tour, that's the plan for tomorrow. Gotta be there by a little bit before 9 a.m. and then they take you on a bus and drive you to these places. You get off, walk around, see the castle, see the sights. There's gonna be a lunch that we're gonna do, and then so that's the plan for tomorrow. I will see you guys then. For now, take it easy. Thanks for watching. Bye.